In the second stage, you will also notice that nobody will die alone. When you leave the physical body, you are in an existence where there is no time. That simply means that time doesn't exist anymore. In the same way, one can no longer speak of space and distance in the usual sense, because those are earthly phenomena. If, for example, a young American dies in Asia and thinks of his mother in Washington, he will bridge the thousands of miles through the power of thought in a split second and be with her. In this second stage, there's no distances. This phenomenon was experienced by many people when they realized that somebody who lived far away suddenly appeared in front of them. A day later, a telephone call or telegram reached them, telling them of the passing of the one seen, who lived hundreds of miles away. These people are by nature very intuitive, for normally one doesn't notice this kind of visitor. What the church tells little children about guardian angels is based on fact. There is proof that every human being from his birth until his death is guided by a spirit entity. Everyone has such a spirit guide, whether you believe it or not. Whether you are Jewish, Catholic, or a member of any other religion doesn't matter, for such love is unconditional. This is why everyone receives this gift of a spirit guide. They are the ones whom my little children call playmates. They talk to them and they are fully aware of their presence. But about the time they have to go to school, parents tell them, "You're now a big boy, you go to school." One doesn't play such childish games anymore. In this way, you forget that you have spirit playmates until you are lying on the deathbed. A dying old lady conveys to me, "Here he is again." Since I do not know what she's referring to, I ask this lady if she could share with me what she has just seen. She tells me, "You must know, when I was a little kid, he used to always be around me, but I have totally forgotten he existed." A day later, she dies, full of joy, knowing that someone who loves her dearly is waiting for her. In general, the people who are waiting for us on the other side are the ones who loved us most. You always meet those people first. In the cases of very small children, 2 or 3 years old, for example, whose grandparents and parents, as well as other known family members, are still on earth, it's mainly their personal guardian angel who receives them, or Jesus, or another religious figure. I never encountered a Protestant child who saw the Virgin Mary in his last minutes, yet she was perceived by many Catholic children. It's not a matter of discrimination. You are simply received by those who meant the most to you. In the second stage, after you have perceived that your body is whole again, and you have encountered your loved ones, you will realize that dying is only a transition to a different form of life. The earthly physical forms you leave behind because you have no need for them anymore. But before you step out of your physical body in exchange for those forms which will keep you for eternity, you pass through a phase which is totally imprinted with items of the physical world. It could be that you float through a tunnel, pass through a gate, or cross a bridge. Having been born in Switzerland, I was allowed to cross a pass in the Alps covered with wild flowers. Everyone is met by the heaven he or she imagined. For me, naturally, I was allowed to experience this transition by crossing a mountain pass of incomparable beauty. After you have passed this tunnel, bridge, or mountain pass, you are at its end embraced by light. This light is whiter than white. It is extremely bright, and the more you approach this light, the more you are embraced by the greatest, indescribable, unconditional love you could ever imagine. There are no words for it. If someone is having a near-death experience, he is allowed to see this light only for a short moment. After this, he must return. But when you die, I mean really die, the connection between the cocoon and the butterfly, which could be compared with the navel cord, will be severed. After this, it is not possible to return to the earthly body. But you wouldn't want to return to it anyway, for after seeing the light, nobody wants to go back. Here there is understanding without judging, and here you experience unconditional love. In this presence, which many people compare with Christ or God, with love or light, you will come to know that all your life on earth was nothing but a school that you had to go through in order to pass certain tests and learn special lessons. As soon as you've finished this school and mastered your lessons, you're allowed to go home to graduate. Some people may ask, why do such cute little children have to die? The answer is quite simple. They've learned in a very short period of time what one has to learn, which could be different things for different people. There is one thing everybody has to learn before he can return from where he came, and that is unconditional love. If you have learned and practiced this, you've mastered the greatest lesson of all. In this light, in the presence of God, Christ, or whatever you want to name it, you have to look back on your entire life from the first day until the last. With this viewing of your own life, you have reached the third stage. On this level, you're no longer in the possession of the consciousness from the first stage or of the awareness from the second. You are now in possession of knowledge. You know in minute detail every thought you had at any time during your life on earth. You will remember every deed and know that every word that you ever spoke. This recapitulation is only a very small part of your knowing, because at this moment you know all consequences resulting from your thoughts and from every one of your words and deeds. God is unconditional love. During this review of your earthly life, you will not blame God for your fate, but you will know that you yourself were your own worst enemy, since you are now accusing yourself of having neglected so many opportunities to grow. Now you know that long ago, when your house burned down, when your child died, when your husband hurt himself, or when you yourself suffered a heart attack, all fatal blows were merely some of the many possibilities for you to grow in understanding, to grow in love, and to grow in all those things which we still have to learn. We are created for a very simple, beautiful, and wonderful life. My greatest wish is that you will start to look at life differently. If you accept your life as something you were created for, then you will no longer question whose lives should be extended and whose should not. My wish is that you pass on to many people a little more love. Think about the fact that those people for whom you select the most costly Christmas presents are often those people you fear the most, and for whom your feelings are the most negative ones. I doubt if it is truly necessary for you to give someone a big present. Unconditional love would have been more appropriate. There are 20 million children in the world dying of starvation. Adopt one of those children and start buying smaller presents. Think about the fact that there are many poor people, even in Western Europe. Share your blessings of wealth. Then when the windstorms blow into your life, think about them as a present for yourself, which will not be seen as such at the moment, but perhaps 10 or 20 years later. For they will give you the strength and teach you things which otherwise you would have never learned. If you, symbolically speaking, get thrown into a tumbler like a stone, it depends fully on yourself if you get crushed or if you come out of it a polished, sparkling diamond.